on Hunt.
Does you...
60 AM KBDT proudly presents Life Solutions, coaching, counseling, naturopathic medicine, insights for successful living, and getting better with Beal.
Welcome. We are here today on Getting Better with Dr. Jim Slaughter joining us.
Hey, everybody. Good to be with you today.
And I'm Ann, and he is a stress and anger specialist, and we are here today to tell you all about pets in the pandemic. So what do we mean by that, Dr. Slaughter?
Well, I tell you, isn't that a great title for a program, especially in light of what's going on today? But pets in the pandemic, this is such a stressful environment for everybody right now. We hear it from every direction. We have people in our office all the time who are dealing with really stressful kinds of situations and reactions in their own bodies. And so one of the things that we've discovered along the way is how important pets can be in reducing stress, in reducing the body's reaction to stressful situations. And so we thought, what better time than this to do a really important segment on pets and how they affect us for good in stressful situations, pets in the pandemic.
And we actually called some shelters this morning to find out, because all the statistics are telling us that the shelters are empty, that the pets, dogs and cats, that the shelters are empty. So we even called the Azle Animal Shelter this morning before we left and asked them, and they said it is amazing. They only have 2 dogs in the shelter, and they had people coming to look at them today. And they have 6 cats, and they had some people coming to look at adopting them today. So most of the shelters have hardly any animals.
Right, and so what does that tell us?
That people are home, people need them for emotional health.
Yeah, people are reaching out to pets and adopting pets in order to help through this time.
And the majority, they did a research, showed the majority, 77% of dog and cat owners report that their pet is a family member, just like anyone else. And a recent study showed that people view pets as part of their family, and because of that, their mental and physical health is better.
Yeah, and this is not just anecdotal. It's not just stories. This is statistical data that have come in to show that this is true. And so, we have known for a long time about certain things that affect in positive ways how a person is feeling, thinking, behaving, and all of that, because that's a part of what we do. But this emphasizes even more the part that pets can play in that process of getting well.
So today we want to encourage you that if you don't have a pet, go get one. Go to a shelter and get one, the few that are left. It's very fascinating that now that people aren't as busy in their home, that they do see a need for these animals, and they want them. And so we're going to look at the benefits. So if we just start with the simple act of petting an animal, the difference in health and the people that do that and the people that don't. And it says that when you pet an animal, it releases in your brain an automatic relaxation response.
Yes, it does. Yeah, and it's chemical in nature, but you get the same kind of response from that because your body that you do from other things, because the chemicals that are produced in your body are what some people have called feel-good chemicals, right? You have serotonin, you have oxytocin, prolactin, right?
Oxytocin.
And oxytocin is actually a bonding chemical that produces calmness, relaxation, and makes us feel attracted to, in some sense, the person that we're, or the animal that we're stroking.
Oh, by petting the animal, we feel more, that's cool. Well, and they say it elevates mood. It also lowers anxiety, helps people relax, as you said.
Right.
And that is part of the reason that they use them for therapy. It's one of the main reasons. It elevates mood and it relaxes you. It gives you clarity. Now, we were looking through all the positives about having an animal, but then we got into the people who've had heart surgery, and it said that people who have had heart surgery, having an animal makes it 5 times more likely they'll recover well. 5 times. That's a lot.
Right, it is. And the statistics just pile up when it comes to things like that. Your blood pressure is lowered by 25% if you engage in a pet for like 15 minutes. And so, that's a lot. When you think in terms of lowering if I have blood pressure issues and I can lower my blood pressure 25% by petting an animal, a pet, that's
so you
amazing.
would recommend that every day. I know you recommend things like this. So for a daily health, you would recommend petting your pet.
Yes, every day.
Every day to lower your blood pressure 25%. That's better. Now, let me just say that. That is better than any blood pressure medicine will do.
Yeah, it sure is. And the truth is, as you do it day by day, then the effects of it build up over time so that 25% will just stay there.
That's amazing.
At least that's what it seems to me. And so,
well, and we were reading about that when you were talking about heart surgery and the importance of lowering blood pressure. That was pretty interesting. It also, friendly animals can decrease anxiety and your sympathetic nervous system arousal by providing a pleasant external focus for attention. So basically what that means is you're paying attention to something outside of yourself. So you're not focusing on your emotional pain or your physical pain. By focusing on something else so easily, it does all these really good things for you, but it also helps you take care of something else and care about something else.
Right. I think that's a very important point because we recommend to people all the time to get the focus outside of themselves and into something else around them for a healthy diversion, a healthy pleasure. Something like this could be a hobby of some kind. But when we're talking about animals, we're talking about another living thing. Okay? It's a living, breathing, moving thing. And so, there's something unique about that. There's something special about that. We recognize it often when we have another person close by, a spouse, a friend, somebody like that, a good friend. But an animal actually can do the very same kind of thing with us.
And it's interesting. They talk about the longevity of life of people that have animals compared to people that don't.
They live longer.
Yeah, and I know for a long time you didn't have animals.
And sad to say, I have not been, honestly, before you and I were together, I was not particularly an animal person, but I have come to be that because they were so much a part of you and your life, and you grew up with them and in very unique situations and all kinds of animals. And
they helped me cope through my whole life. And
absolutely.
I know when you got to know me, you're like, why do you have so many animals? Of course, we had a ranch. We had everything. And you were like, oh, I think we had I don't even know, 25. I think we had a lot. But
we had horses, we had wolves, we had all kinds of animals around us,
ferrets and cats.
Yeah,
and dogs
absolutely.
And goats. And they were wonderful. But, and there was a study involving more than 400 adults. And the degree to which people experienced the daily hugs predicted the magnitude that people would later get sick or not get sick. And people who experienced daily hugs didn't get sick or got sick, they say 6 times less than people who did not. So people who received more frequent hugs exhibited less severe symptoms. So they found out that greater human touch reflects greater social support, which in turn buffers the effects of stress and people's health.
Yep.
Now, farther down in this research, it talks about animals. And they said that animals under research were the exact same thing. For people, that 6 times more likely that they would not get sick if they had animals, okay?
Right.
That they actually interacted with and petted, because they're talking about petting and taking care of and caring for, touching. They're talking about the physical touch. And they said that the beneficial outcomes of the greater levels of oxytocin, which is that hormone, it lowers blood pressure, it reduces heart rates, and similar cardiovascular benefits are observed by dog owners when merely being in the same room as their pets, even if they're not touching their pets.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? We advocate personal interaction, physical interaction, petting, stroking, that kind of thing, hugging your pet. But it is amazing to me that just when the pet is in the same room with us, all of those other symptoms, the high blood pressure, the heart issues go down. And so it's amazing what just having a pet around can do.
And normally when we do pet health, we bring a pet. And we have not been able to do that since the coronavirus because they say that, they could get corona. And I think we did the research that, by May or June, there were only 2 animals in the world that had gotten it, and their owners had also had it, had COVID a week to 2 before their animal caught it, and their animals had it, but they didn't get very sick. And so if you think of billions of people and 2 animals. So it's really sad to me that the elderly in the nursing homes aren't seeing the animals that people brought them every day and every week, and in hospitals, and even mental health for mental therapy, everything. If you think of just animals' involvement with people. Now, if you look at YouTube, because the statistics also just seeing animals, like being in the same room as a pet, right?
Right.
So what I wondered was, what would be the statistics of just seeing them on video? Or in pictures. So we had people send in pictures. So you go to our Facebook page, and we have all these pictures of people with their pets from all over the U.S. And they're awesome. We got pictures of horses and even lizards. Well, it was a what was that? That was a
chameleon.
And cats and dogs and a pig and anything else you can think of.
A mule at one point.
A mule, yes. So if we would love for you to go on Getting Better with Ann Beal and post your pictures there of your pet, and just put where you are and your name if you want. We would love to see that. Or you can, we're going to put it on YouTube. I don't know how they post it there. Or even on Instagram. Go on our page on Instagram and post pictures. We'd love to see you with your animals. And any stories that you have about how the animals have helped you. We've had so many stories, and we wanted to share some today. But what's interesting is having an animal, or merely putting an animal near you, reduces people's anxiety in stressful situations as well, which is why when we called different shelters, they said that people need animals right now, and they're home, and they don't have any other things that we call pressure valves for society, because they've taken them all away. So what are the pressure valves? There's like 6 for our society, and it's very interesting. Bars is one, sports is another,
movies is another,
movie theaters, right? Health clubs, parks. Anything else you can think of?
No, but they've pretty much shut all that down.
There was one more. It was getting your hair done and your nails done and massages.
Oh, is that what it was? I couldn't remember.
They had that all. They called that spa day or something like that. Yeah. So they have these pressure valves, right? And there were 7 actually. Interaction with friends and family was the other one. So if they've taken so many of those away, so people are trying to find ways to cope better with having an inability. So a lot of the elder, like my mom, she has her 2 cats, and she's doing well. And my dad, and he has his cat, and he's doing well. And so what we find is it seems that people that have animals are doing a lot better than people that don't.
Yes, and the research bears that out. It seemed funny maybe to some people that scientific people would be doing research on things like pets and the relationship with their owners. But a lot of research has been done about that, and everything that we're saying here has been borne out statistically and scientifically.
And we're trying to give you the tools. Now, when we do pet health, often we pick a topic like diabetes or something like that, and we have a naturopathic doctor that works with animals, or a veterinarian or someone on to help you with each kind of illness that a pet has. And it's a lot easier for us to help you with that, because on the airways, we can actually say heal and cure for anything natural for animals. We just can't say that with people. We have to say, like, it takes all the symptoms away or things like that. The only thing that you can use the cure word or the heal word for adults is through prescription synthetic medicines. That's the only thing, or you can get shut down. So we can't say that. So with animals, it's easier. So interpersonal touch has other positive consequences. For example, greater positive touch improves romantic relationships. It strengthens friendship bonds. It triggers more positive emotions, and it encourages people to be more responsive to others' needs. Although we often think about touch as being central in romantic relationships, even common metaphors like staying in touch.
See, I love that. I read that earlier.
Staying in touch.
I thought, that's pretty cool. Because staying in touch implies
that you're maintaining important social connections that can be embodied through touch. So it is just a really important thing. And so animals have been such a help. And we've had people writing in thanking their animals, and they just appreciate them so much more. They've been walking them, spending time with them, and learning how much more they can do for them. So stay right here. We'll tell you more.
Listening to Dr. Wallach, and I bet you have some questions. We want to help.
And we're just emphasizing something that we've talked about a little bit before, but not like this, the fact that pets are such an important contribution to our mental health, our emotional health, even our spiritual health, and all the way around. We're talking about the benefit of having a pet, being a pet owner, and what to do with your pets, and what benefits you get out of engaging your pet, being with your pet, playing with your pet during times like this. So that's kind of where we are today, and we're going to just keep going.
Well, and the act of petting produces an automatic relaxation response. It stabilizes blood pressure. We talked about these in the last segment. It reduces the risk of heart disease, heart attacks, and strokes. It improves cardiovascular health. Breathing slows in those who are anxious. It releases many hormones. And it has the same effect as chocolate. Now, I found that incredibly interesting because I love chocolate. And I love animals. And so I found that fascinating.
For those who care, it's phenylethylamine that does
yes,
that.
Yes, I knew that. I knew that.
Most people won't care about that.
But they also, we studied physical pain, it also diminishes overall physical pain.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, it does.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is. You probably know more about the physical health side of it. But when people are in pain, petting a pet or even having them near them makes them feel better.
Part of that is a diversion. You know, all of a sudden I'm thinking about another living thing here, my pet. Some people would say this is almost a person to me, and think of them as persons. I think you do that too. But the thing is, you're thinking outside yourself again. And when we do that, we redirect our thinking. All of a sudden, our pain is reduced, and it's an amazing thing. And guess what? You didn't have to get a drug to do that.
No, you didn't have to get a drug because it works better than a drug. Mm-hmm. And it's so interesting that the physical pain side, when I've talked to people who have dogs. So I have a client, I saw her for a really long time. I haven't seen her in a long time now, but she was in a wheelchair, and she had dogs. And she always talked about her dogs when she came in. Always. All about her dogs, how much she loved her dogs. She slept with her dogs. She knew each dog. To me, they looked just alike because they were the same kind. But each had this life, and she was happy.
Right.
And yet she was in so much pain. And so I found that incredibly fascinating. And it makes sense because it says inner contentment can be verbally expressed. Even if you can't do it with a dog talking to them, you can show it by eating with them, sleeping with them, cooperating with them, interacting back and forth. And it actually makes you feel better. Because even if you don't have a person around, but there's something so cool about animals in that they always want to be with you no matter what.
Yes, in fact, we had one of our dogs, Bear.
Bear.
He would rather just be next to one of us, rubbing right up against our leg. If we're sitting out by the pool, or if we're even in the house on the couch or whatever, he'll just get right up against you because he loves that connection. And we were talking earlier too, as we need communication with animals, they need communication with us. If we have animals, they're going to love that interaction with us. They love us to talk to them. They love us to touch them. They love to be with us, and they need that too.
Well, and you can see, and I know you guys can't see out there, but we have pictures people send in. We have somebody with her parrot and a woman with her parrot. We have a woman on her horse. She looks very happy. Doesn't she look funny? Yes, and so they tell us the stories about their, what they've done for them. There's a man with his pig and his goat.
He's kissing his pig.
Yep. I know, and a man with the monkey under his shirt. And the thing that I found most fascinating about all these pictures is that everyone is smiling.
Yes, they are.
Everyone is smiling in these pictures, or they're smiling, looking down at the animal, and it's just looking at them makes you feel better. Lady with a cat around her neck.
Well, you've said over and over again how animal videos are the highest, get the highest rating of any kind of video.
Millions and millions and millions of views.
Yeah, because of this very thing we're talking about.
Yes, and that is why you can easily see that there's such a wonderful addition. And again, we want you to know how much it helps you both mentally, physically, emotionally, and everything. Now, we love doing pet health because so many people have animals, and we want you to know how to keep them very well. And so just tune in here once a month, same time, 12 to 1, 11:60 a.m. every week to learn that. Now, what's so fascinating about what the people have told us is that they feel like it improves their communication. And the people we have that are in rehab, like physical therapy, it has also improved their motor skills. If it's for their hands, their ability to, a lot of them, they can type now or write now because by petting animals and maneuvering that. But also, they say, when we were talking about people that are walking, they're learning to walk or needing to walk better, they learn and move, they said 5 times more when they have a pet they're walking with versus their human teacher,
therapist. They'll walk faster with their animals.
Yeah, and so it's really cool. So if you're working on any of that, get an animal. Stay right here.
90.
Hi, this is Pastor.
You can donate KBBT.
Well, I'm going to give you another number, 469-243-5906, if you'd like to call in about your animal today, 469-243-5906. We would love to hear about your animal. Now, seniors usually are the ones suffering from depression as a result of loneliness or isolation. And either because friends or family members can't visit on a regular basis or they aren't as active as they previously were. So they tend to maybe what we might call shelter in. But it's a gradual, over time thing, and they're going to eventually be in and not out so much. And so they often are the ones that we want them to get animals to have around. But so many people are suffering from isolation and loneliness.
Yes.
And that is why we just really recommend you going to the pound or adopting a pet. Right?
Right, going
We'd
to a
love to
shelter and
get-
just picking out a pet that seems to connect with you or whatever, and it can make a world of difference in your life, not just now until this COVID thing is over, but later on even, because these things work all the time with pets and humans as they connect.
And we have people that their loved ones, maybe a spouse has passed away, so contact with their therapy animals it draws them out. It helps them not just withdraw into themselves and isolate. So they become more happier and more communicative. Now, one of the things about animals is you talk to them.
Yes.
People talk with them. So they become much more social and more communicative with animals. And studies have shown that seniors who are active and always around others or who own a pet, okay, they're healthier. And so otherwise, without that, if you're not around adults and you don't have pets, you can decline quicker, they say more rapidly, the more that you isolate.
Right.
So if we look at the population who has isolated millions and millions of people,
yes,
that means that they are in danger of rapidly declining from isolation, both mentally and physically, and we're getting more and more depressed people.
Right.
And they would say more and more suicide. And that is where, if you talk about the physical, emotional, and psychological benefits of pets, or what we might call pet therapy, we know already from the therapy with seniors, people in the hospital, like our grandson was in the hospital, and they brought a dog in.
Yeah, Jack was in the hospital. He was having a surgical procedure and everything. Young guy. I mean, he's like I think he was a senior in high school or a freshman in college. But anyway, he was having that done, and they had an animal therapist bring a dog in to see him, and I mean, he just lit up, boy. I mean, he loved that, and just talked about it. Yeah, he
because
did.
they had thought it was gallbladder, and they took out his gallbladder, and then they turned around and said, "Oh, was that right?" And then they turned around and said, "It was the appendicitis."
Yeah.
So they were talking about taking out another organ, and we were just like, "What?"
Yeah.
And he was pretty down until the dog came in, so that was pretty great. So usually people with pets outlive those who don't. So we encourage people who are sick or older to do that. Walking a dog provides much needed physical exercise, which leads to improved mobility and a healthier lifestyle overall. And pets provide emotional stability during stressful situations, reducing anxiety and depression, and we talked about that.
Right. And can I just add to that and just say, anytime you bring your anxiety level down, then you're going to make everything else better.
Definitely in your body.
Yeah, absolutely.
The stress level on your body.
You bring the stress and anxiety down, and then all of a sudden your blood pressure is going to get better, your breathing rate's going to come down, everything is going to get better. And so why shouldn't we be doing that, right? And animals are a perfect way to do that.
And you teach that all the time.
I do. Yes, I do.
And it results in lower blood pressure just to be able to pet them or touch them. It's the wildest thing. But touch does that normally, but with pets, it's even more. And so just petting them and touching them results in lower blood pressure, more normal heart rate, and reduced stress.
Yeah, your breathing rate goes down, you get calmer, everything begins to settle into place, your heart kind of comes to rest a little bit, and that's what pets can do.
Now, dementia patients are interesting. We have a neighbor across the street, he has Alzheimer's, and they have 2 little dogs. They're so cute.
Toy schnauzers.
Yeah, they're just so adorable, and so they're very soothing for those who have difficulty using language. And, they often with dementia can start having trouble using words. And animals don't mind that at all. They don't need words per se. They know your habits. They know your patterns. Like if you're putting your shoes on, they know what you're going to do. They have an incredible memory, and they said that they can put algorithms together about our behaviors to know exactly what we're going to be doing and what we're feeling and all this stuff the longer that we have them.
Yeah, and I was going to say about the people who have mental problems and dementia problems, issues like that. It's been shown over and over and over again that even with people who are non-responsive people, in other words, they've gotten to the place where they can't respond very, very well. With pets, when somebody presents a pet and brings it up close, they will smile, or they will in some way indicate that with their eyes, maybe even, that they are enjoying that. So there is a response, even with unresponsive people.
Even with the unresponsive. Animals help improve socialization. And I know for Harry, the guy across the street, he is so isolated that they just don't have a lot of reasons they feel for a living, or they don't have a purpose, or they don't have this. But they get a dog, and it is amazing how it changes their life. And we watched the transition. It is just amazing. Now, if you're not a dog person, you could get a cat, right?
Yep.
And if you have land, you can get other animals, anything like that. But you will eat better, sleep better, and feel better.
Well, that's what the research shows. And, it certainly has helped me as I've come into the world of pets. And it's been a long time now. But, I think of the pets that we have now, and they're so different. In the way they react, respond, and everything. And yet, all of this that we're talking about today, Bear.
Law Radio. You've got to call in on this one.
Sure.
855-521-7235. 7234. 7234. Go ahead. We've got to, don't tell the end of it until the break.
Well, we're not
before they could even take the test to see whether or not they can become a correctional officer, they had to take a medical exam.
Okay,
right?
Sorry for interrupting you. Todd, it's all yours.
But here's the thing. Both men and women don't know, but the specific exam.
Something they set on for sure.
The specific.
And then it'll run past you, and it'll run around, and run back up out of the house, and he runs back down. It is the funniest thing, and we're like, what is he doing? He'll just look at us, and he gives this kind of smile, and he'll eye you kind of to the side, and he'll just take off running.
Yeah,
and we're like,
the plaintiff's like, why did I get that exam to test for this when I don't even have one of those?
What's interesting is they bring the doctors in on a lawsuit too. They're not just suing the government, but they're bringing the doctors in. It's interesting, the doctors' arguments and the arguments for the defense about these rectal exams.
And what if this whole thing could be chalked up to a simple typo on the form? We'll talk about that when we come back.
When we come back. We'll see you in a bit. You cannot stop and walk away right now. You have to stay here.
Yeah, you need to hear the end of this. Next on Radio Law Talk. Do not go away. Much more coming up.
All advertising for legal services on Radio Law Talk is strictly for the state or states in which the advertiser is licensed. For more information, go to radiolawtalk.com. Concussion Medical Clinic knows active people run the risk of a concussion. Soccer, football, even a simple fall can lead to a brain injury. Concussion Medical Clinic can test you before you start a sports program so they can have a baseline and more quickly diagnose a concussion should one occur. They also offer expert witness services if you're involved in a concussion case, and their specialty is the treatment of concussion. So if you have suffered a concussion and want the best concussion care available, give Concussion Medical Clinic a call, 916-259-4043, 916-259-4043. Concussion Medical Clinic.
Jason Ross back here with Fred Penny, managing attorney from Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers. Now, Fred, what type of cases are you dealing with now, and what sets you apart?
Jason, we help people with all types of personal injury cases. We're former insurance company trial lawyers. We understand the other side, which gives us a distinct advantage over our competition. Remember, we don't get paid unless we win.
That's Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers with locations throughout California. For a free consultation, go to pennylawyers.com or give them a call, 1-800-616-4LAW. That's PENNEY lawyers.com.
At ticketchocolate.com, we believe that simplicity is best. We also know that chocolate is one of life's finest things that can help you savor your greatest moments. Late night visits with old friends, overdue romantic moments, and quiet mornings all to yourself. See their wide variety, like hot chocolate sticks or creamy marshmallows, and a lot more at ticketchocolate.com. They remind busy people like you to take time for the pleasure small things can give. Ticketchocolate.com, where simplicity is best.
Not all law firms have extensive experience in all areas of the law. It's wise to look for firms that have knowledge and understanding in your particular area of concern. So go to prolawfirms.com. They have listings of attorneys in key areas of practice, such as family law, estate planning, personal injury, bankruptcy, and so forth. When you're looking for a lawyer that has extensive experience in your particular area of need, go to prolawfirms.com. That's prolawfirms.com.
ProLawFirms.com is not a law firm and does not endorse or recommend any specific law firm.
This is Denise Sturks. We can represent clients in divorce, legal separation, child and spousal support, custody, termination of parental rights, step-parent adoptions, guardianships, and even conservatorship matters. Call 1-877-886-7186 for a consultation.
The law offices of Denise L. Dirks provide family law services in Northern California. When the law affects your family, call 877-886-7186. The family of attorneys at Denise L. Dirks is here to help. The cost of getting rid of garbage is high, and recycling products is lucrative. If you're a business or know of a business that needs an individual compactor or baler, call Northwest Compacting at 888-201-0911. If you already have an industrial compactor, baler, or shredder and need service, don't forget to call Northwest Compacting at 888-201-0911. Northwest Compacting, your full-service industrial compacting and baling company. Read more about them at northwestcompacting.com.
I've got to get my car washed. This dirt, it just won't do. But I don't have no time today. I don't know what I do.
Man, I know this place right down the road. Quick, quack, car wash. Hop inside, let's take a ride and watch this cat shine. Just come and see, I guarantee your ride will steal the show. Come on, quick, quack, car wash. Don't drive that dirty car. Quick, quack, car wash. They'll have you looking sharp.
My name is Frederick Penny of Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers. I've assembled an excellent team of highly experienced personal injury trial lawyers. We understand the other side, which gives us a distinct advantage over our competition. At Penny & Associates, we will aggressively represent you and your family when someone has been injured in an accident. Remember, we don't get paid unless we win.
For a free initial consultation, go to pennylawyers.com or call 1-800-616-4LAW and ask for Frederick, Stuart, Rob, Kevin, Kent, or Will. That's Frederick Penny at Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers, 1-800-616-4LAW.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
If you pay my fee, I'll take your case.
This is Radio Law Talk with Frederick Penny.
We're talking about the inappropriate examination argument, especially the rectal exam lawsuit. It's a class action lawsuit against California correctional facilities, the state of California, and apparently the doctors that were involved in these examinations. And Todd was going into the interesting thing is that part of their arguments is not only it was a battery, but a sexual assault.
That's right. They're arguing that this is a sexual assault, but you have to understand that whether or not it's sexual assault requires very specific elements that we would call what you'd have to prove to a jury in order to get that. And in a sexual battery case, these are the following elements. There have to be an intimate part of the body touch. I don't think there's any issue of that element would be made. 2, the touching was done against the person's will, and I think that somebody could make the argument that they were coerced or forced to do that because of the job application. So let's assume they can overcome that hurdle. The big one is this last one. The touching was done for the specific purpose of sexual arousal, sexual gratification, or sexual abuse. Now, I don't know how you prove that against the doctor. The closest one would be sexual abuse. But for sexual abuse, what you would have to prove is that the touching occurred in order to cause pain, injury, or discomfort. Now, if the pain, injury, or discomfort is as a byproduct of doing a legitimate exam, then I don't know how you get that. You have to, for it to be abuse, the reason you touch has to be to cause one of those 3. And the argument by every doctor is going to be, no, the reason I touched is because it was requested on the form, and that's how you do the exam.
Yeah, but if
Except
you
know that these are just 2 of the hundreds of diseases for the female.
Yeah, and I would not say it's legitimate. I would say it's not a legitimate exam because there was absolutely no connection between the rectal exam and then they did vaginal examinations for the women.
But who's your defendant in this?
But just hear me out.
Sure.
There's no connection between that and a legitimate reason for them to be able to take a test to get a job. So that's what I would say. So I would say that the actual exam itself was not legitimate, and thus this was conduct that could be sexual abuse.
In all fairness, Todd, we have to make this point. I think it's really important. The doctors who are having this light focused upon them worked for a contract company. They did not work for the state of California. They work for a contractor. I just think that's important. The contractor is going to hide under look, the state told me to do it, I just did it.
Well, that's what their argument is. Hey, the state told me.
Look, the state said they get a form, and the form says these are the things that we need to have checked. All right, and then the doctor looks at it and says, okay, I can perform this exam. And if nobody has voiced an objection prior to the exam being performed, and even the potential plaintiffs in this lawsuit have all said, it was uncomfortable. I just wanted to get out of there. I haven't heard anybody say, "Oh, what the heck are you doing that for?" I don't want to have this exam. Which, oh, by the way, if they had said that and the doctor continued to do the exam, the doctor would absolutely be guilty of doing this. But if from the doctor's perspective, if the doctor thinks that the person is here, they've given me the form, they're consenting to this exam, they think that's what's going on, it's a legitimate exam, I just don't know that. I'm not saying you don't get to battery. I'm not saying you don't get to assault. I question whether or not it's sexual battery or sexual
Everything's bigger in Texas, and your tax refund shouldn't be any different. Call Checks and Balances Texas now at 469-216-8161. Get the tax assistance you need and keep your social distancing at the same time. The best virtual tax services in the Metroplex are just a phone call away. Trust the veteran tax professionals at Checks and Balances Texas for the answers to all your tax questions, including everything you need to know about the tax filing requirements to qualify for your COVID-19 stimulus check. Whether it's assistance with individual or business taxes, or even bookkeeping services, Checks and Balances Texas is there to help. They offer tax filing, planning, and resolution services to clients nationwide. Call Checks and Balances Texas right now at 469-216-8161 or book an appointment online. ChecksBalancesTX.com. Join the movers and shakers of the DFW Metroplex as a client of Checks and Balances Texas. 469-216-8161 or ChecksBalancesTX.com.
Exam to test my prostate when I'm a female and I don't have one.
Right.
And you wouldn't let me. Why is it that? Because that's one of the plaintiffs here had that happen.
So now you get back to the department, the corrections department rules on being allowed to take their exam. The exam meaning apply for this job. They have to take like an exam to get to apply for the job. They only require a visual inspection of the genital area, and that's it. They don't require any kind of invasive technique at all. So it's the actual regulations of the Department of Corrections that's being used against them. And the reason they require the genital inspection, by the way, is to see if there's any tattoos.
exactly
any
right.
gang tattoos, any kind of tattoos that would show exactly. So they went way beyond their own requirements. And so does that translate to the doctors? Don't know. Did the doctors have to know the requirements? Don't know.
To admit it's getting better, a little better all the time.
You're getting better all the time. Now back to Ann Beal on 1160 AM KBDT.
Welcome back. When people see pets as family members, their companion animals are granted membership in people's most important social group, giving them an anthropomorphism boost that in turn equips them with more socially supportive capacity. Okay, well, if we translate that, because I'm like, why are they talking that way? So in other words, they're happier. Okay, that's basically what they're saying. And right, more of us a family.
And they begin seeing their pets as more than just things, but almost like people and family members. I mean, it really there's a change in the way we view animals when we get to the place where we begin seeing them like that.
Yes, so even our horses, when I was thinking about selling the show horses, the kids were like, those are our family.
I remember them saying that.
And it really caught me off guard. I was like, well, you know what? We have had them a really long time, and they were like family. KC, Clue and Cream was definitely part of our family.
Right.
But I hadn't thought of it like that, but the kids definitely thought about that. And our miniature horse, of course, we thought of as our family. And so, it's interesting when they randomly assign pet owners to either a condition where they wrote an essay about their pet, saying they really were a family member or really it was an animal, there was a shift in them. And so they had them write essays to tell how they felt. Was it just an animal or was it a family member?
Right.
And when they thought about it, they all ended up making them family members. Now, what's interesting is the ranches that had cows they sold and stuff like that, those kids said that they weren't allowed to think of them as family members.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Now, I thought that was interesting. It wasn't that they weren't allowed to think it or say it. It's like if they couldn't do that, then it wouldn't bond in. And I remember when I was young and we got some pigs, I was told just don't get close to them. Like, that is possible for a little kid when you have baby pigs, right? But there's something about telling them, do not think of them as a family member, and then it won't bond in. Or don't think of them as a pet. It's interesting about thinking.
Sure, and when it comes to farm animals in particular, I think often kids will raise them for sale, for money for college and things like that. And we see that a lot where we are out here. But the thing is, I don't know that I've ever known a kid who raised a bull or a cow or something like that for sale who didn't feel pretty close to that animal. Right. It's always hard to give them up. And for those people out there who are listening who have lost an animal or had to put an animal down because they were sick, it is a terrible emptiness that you feel when that happens.
Yes. And I think that when they have the kids write the essays and how they think of them, they said if they have them write it as an animal and then they turn around and have them write it as a family member, that there is a shift in the way they feel. And I think that if you understand that the animals think of that they're a family member.
I think they believe they feel like they belong.
Yes, so there are so many stories and reports that when a family member dies, that dog stays there in their room. He won't leave. If the hospital or the bus station, you hear story after story after story where that's their dog's dad or their best friend, their companion, their family member. If you want to be loved in a way that you totally cannot understand, talk about unconditional, everlasting, long-term love.
Yeah, that's
get
really
a dog,
true.
right?
Yeah, that's really true. And you and I talked earlier. I had a colleague at the seminary. He told a story about his own dog when he was growing up, and how he couldn't talk to very many adults in his world, but he could talk to his dog, and he did it every day. He'd go to him, he'd tell him his hard stories. He would cry, and the dog would lick his tears, and then he said, how was I to know that he liked salt? But nevertheless, he was there for him,
Yes, all the time. And I've had people say that about cats. I mean, my daughter loves cats. Both my daughters love cats. And so they like dogs too, but there's something about cats for them. So I'd love to have a cat person on sometime to explain all that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For me, I like the interaction. I mean, we have some cats, but it's just not the same for us. But if we have someone who really loves cats and can explain that and help the listeners understand, I know that they are very cuddly. I think the only thing for us is we don't like them shedding. Understand this, that when you get a dog, if you are having trouble training it or anything about it, you can easily get that done.
Yes.
We had it done with a lady coming. It took she came for 3 hours. And it was amazing what we were able to do with our golden retriever after that. We didn't have any trouble. So really what they do is they come teach you. So when you get in a class, it's really you that's the issue,
right.
You not understanding the animal and how they think and how they work. So when you do that, you get just a little training under your belt, they become the best pets. Mm-hmm. And so I just encourage you to go out there, find a shelter, and get yourself a wonderful animal.
Yep, absolutely.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Have a wonderful weekend, and just keep getting better. Take care.
Check the shelter.